Hello, I'm Vance Dykes. This is pretty much part 2 of my personal vlog, Love at the Crossroads. So in the last vlog, in part 1, I was talking about how even though I was engaged to my Filipina fiance, of whom I'm still engaged to, by the way, sometimes my sometimes I say things the wrong way. Anyway, so how being engaged to my Filipina fiance, I still had my desires to want to be with a Native American woman. And I remember, I think it was about maybe 2 years into the engagement, I was watching a film that my family recorded on VHS when it was on TV many years ago. And it's actually a film that holds a special place in my heart because I used to watch it almost all the time with my family, and especially my grandmother when it was shown on TV. It was basically a TV movie starring Janine Turner. It was called Stolen Women, Captured Hearts, which is supposed to be a docudrama about, what was her name again? I know her first name was Anna Brewster, and then Anna Morgan because she got married in the film, about how she was kidnapped by an Indian tribe, the Sioux, basically by one of the chiefs or warriors, Tokala, and eventually she fell in love with him, and eventually she wound up leaving the world that she was taken from to be with her Sioux lover. So that's pretty much a film that holds a special place in my heart because I used to watch it as a kid with my family. And I guess you could say that it's one of my favorite romantic films, or as some jerks will call them, chick flicks. I don't call them chick flicks. I call them romantic films or romance films. And it's one of my personal favorites. So anyway, I think by watching this film again after so many years, well, actually I've watched it before, but it was, I probably didn't watch it in a while. I was watching it again, and I think by watching the film, it kind of brought back those feelings of, wanting to be with a Native American woman. And I don't remember exactly how long it went, but it didn't really last long. I eventually just, put the idea aside, remembering, hey, you're already engaged to someone who's wonderful, you gotta let these feelings go, just let them go. And so for a time, I kind of just, I didn't really think much about it. The desires didn't come back again, and I didn't give it a second thought. I just focused on my relationship with my fiance, and then came that fateful day. Basically what happened was I work for the Walt Disney Company as a custodial cast member. I've been working for the Walt Disney Company ever since May of 2014, and basically at this particular time, I was working at Disney Springs in the marketplace. And on this particular day, I remember seeing this beautiful young lady sitting with one of our trainers and coordinators. Her name was Debbie. Ooh, I said I was not going to name anybody in these vlogs. That was a slip right there. Well, Debbie was one of the coordinators. Never mind. So, basically, I remember just seeing this beautiful young lady sitting next to her. And she was one of the most beautiful women that I've ever seen in my entire life. And I thought that she was just another Latina, you know what I mean? Because I live in Florida, and most beautiful women who have dark skin, because she had dark skin, mainly they were Latinas, mainly Puerto Ricans. I just assumed that she was another beautiful Puerto Rican who was coming to work for the Walt Disney Company. And I think about a week or so later, I remember I overheard her talking to another cast member saying that she was Native American. And the minute that I heard her say that she was Native American, it was like all of a sudden, those feelings came right back. Those feelings of me wanting to be with a Native American woman. And, this time there was a Native American woman, a very beautiful Native American woman who, was very easy on the eyes, very appealing to look at. Pretty much, when I speak about women and their beauty, I usually do it in a very poetic manner. I say that they can be compared to Greek goddesses or Egyptian goddesses or Roman goddesses. And I guess in this case, she was a Native American goddess, so to speak. She was just so beautiful. And so working at Disney Springs, working around her, you know, crossing paths with each other, you know, every time I saw her, I just couldn't take my eyes off of her. She was so beautiful. And, you know, I tried to maintain my focus in other places, and also trying to remind myself, I'm already engaged to someone. I can't be looking at another woman. I got to stop this. But, you know, no matter what I did, I just couldn't help but look at her, and I couldn't help but think about her. And every time I saw her, or every time I thought about her, I just got butterflies in my stomach. And pretty much to make matters even more interesting was that when I was going back to the water parks, because I'm stationed in the water parks. When I started at Disney, I was working part-time at Blizzard Beach, the Blizzard Beach water park, which is literally right next door to the Animal Kingdom theme park in the Walt Disney World Resort. And when I transferred to full-time, I was working at the Typhoon Lagoon water park, which is literally right across the street from Disney Springs. And so when I was deployed from Typhoon Lagoon to Disney Springs, you know, my first year being a full-time cast member, you know, I didn't really have far to travel. So anyway, like I said, to make matters more interesting was that, you know, not only was I going to be working with this beautiful Native American woman at Disney Springs in the marketplace, but I was also going to be working with her for most of the year at Typhoon Lagoon. But of course, Typhoon Lagoon wasn't open just yet at this time. You know, they were still making last-minute arrangements to make sure that the park would, when the park was open, everything was ready. Because this was 2017. This was when they were opening up that new attraction at Typhoon Lagoon, Misadventure Falls, which is a very interesting water slide because of all the water slides that's at Typhoon Lagoon. This is the one water slide where you don't have to go up a flight of stairs carrying a big tube. What you do is you get into the queue line, which is what we call those lines that you get into when you're going to go on the slide. You get into the queue line and you wait in line, and then you get into the water, you get into the pool area, and the slide ops, which are basically lifeguards who wear blue, who are mainly in charge of operating the slides, operating the attractions, making sure that you go up and down them safely without getting injured. They bring you a huge tube, which is supposed to fit, I suppose, 4 or 5 people, if I remember correctly, somewhere around 4 or 5 people. So you, your wife, and your kids, you can go on it, and the water takes you up to the conveyor belt, takes you all the way up to the top of the slide, and then you go down the slide. So that's an interesting slide. It's probably one of the best slides that we have at Typhoon Lagoon, because you don't have to go up a flight of stairs. So you're saving yourself a lot of exercise, you're saving yourself a lot of effort and energy, so it's a plus. Anyway, so they were trying to make sure that everything would be up and running for when we would open for the spring and summer of 2017. So first we went to Blizzard Beach, and it took a few weeks, but this beautiful Native American girl who was working as a co-cast member in the custodial field, you know, she came to Blizzard Beach first with us, and then she came to Typhoon Lagoon. So basically, she was with me at these Disney parks for most of the time, most of the year. And, you know, same thing, you know, every time, you know, I saw her, or even thought about her, I would get these butterflies in my stomach. You know, I just couldn't help but have these, I'm not sure if you can call them romantic feelings, but because sometimes, excuse me, Mother Nature, she's so cruel. Always picking the wrong time to interfere, you know what I mean? Anyway, so, where was I? Lost my train of thought for a moment there. Oh yeah, so yeah, every time I would see her, you know, whether if it was at Disney Springs in the marketplace, or if it was at Blizzard Beach, or if it was at Typhoon Lagoon, wherever we were, every time I saw her, you know, I would get butterflies in my stomach, you know. I don't want to go overboard and say that they were romantic feelings. I think more than likely they were probably a crush, but, you know, even now when I think about her and when I look back, sometimes I think, maybe I was developing some strong feelings for her. So, and like I said, just remembering that I have a fiance in the Philippines who I'm devoted to and of whom she's devoted to me, I'm trying very hard to make sure that I don't allow, if my eyes wander, it's one thing, but if the rest of me wanders, that's a completely different story. So I tried as much as I could to try and stay away, try and focus on something else, but always the same. No matter what, I still thought about her. I couldn't help but think about her, think about what it would be like if she and I were in a relationship with each other. What if I was engaged to her instead of my Filipina fiance? What if we could, wind up starting a life together? And, and there were times when I felt so close, where I felt like I was about to tell her, this beautiful Native American woman, how I felt about her. And, in many ways I chickened out. One of the things that I did was that I was speaking to another custodial cast member who likewise was a college program cast member. This Native American girl who was working with us, she was a college program cast member. So I was speaking to another custodial cast member who was a college program, who I saw hang around her from time to time, just try and see, okay, maybe I need to get some advice, maybe get some information. Does this girl have a boyfriend? Is she interested in dating? Just basically what I was trying to do was I was trying to get it off my chest. I was trying to get off my chest because I felt that if I did that, I would feel better. So basically, I was talking to this college program cast member, telling her what I thought about this particular girl, this Native American girl, and she told me that, she's happy being single. I think she mentioned that there was someone back in her home state of Arizona that she was interested in. And basically, fortunately, this college program cast member was a Christian too. She was a fellow sister in Christ. So she told me that one of the things I needed to do was that if I'm serious about a committed relationship and thinking about, who it is that I want to be with, that I should spend some time in prayer and just talk to God about it and just lay everything at God's feet and just wait for God to work his wonders, so to speak. Just his, how he works in mysterious ways. So, that was what I did. I also spoke to another cast member who was, I think he's a full-time cast member, and who I think was one of my trainers when I started to work for Typhoon Lagoon. When I was deployed to Typhoon Lagoon, learning the in and outs of the park, being deployed there, working events and working early morning shifts of doing deep cleaning in the restrooms in the morning before the park would open for the guest. I talked to him about it. I don't remember exactly what he said, but so this is something that I dealt with, and like I said, there were times when I was thinking about telling this beautiful Native American woman how I felt about her, whether if it was just a small innocent crush or if it really was me developing feelings for her. I wanted to tell her, but I couldn't tell her, because I reminded myself I'm engaged to someone else, and also that there was a possibility that she would have said no anyway. Whether or not I was in a relationship with someone, she would probably say no, that she was not interested in dating, or at the very least maybe not interested in dating me. So because of my involvement with my Filipina fiance, and because I chickened out, fearing, what if she said no? Because of these two reasons, I pretty much didn't say anything. I wanted to, but I didn't. And then came time for us to be deployed to our locations, because, the water parks, they're not open usually in the fall and winter seasons. They stay open for a while. How it works is that the weather has to be at least 70 degrees or higher in order for a water park in Disney World to stay open. If it's below 70 degrees, they're not going to open because it gets too cold. It gets too cold for people to go into the wave pools and go into the swimming pools and the lazy rivers. And, you know, I mean, even though we don't live up north, where we can have a real ice age, you know, it can still get cold. I should know, because I've lived in Florida for 11 years, and even though there's no snow down here, it still gets pretty darn cold in the winter. I can't tell you how many nights I would go to bed wearing a sweater. So anyway, around this time, this was probably mid or late October of 2017, on the last day that we were working at Typhoon Lagoon before we went to our deployment locations, I found out that this Native American girl, she had a Facebook page, and I didn't add her as a friend, but what I did was I sent her a message on Facebook, you know, confessing to her that I had a crush on her and explaining the reasons why I didn't tell her. And I pretty much ended the message saying that, you know, I hope you meet someone who will treat you like a princess, like you deserve to be treated, saying that, you know, she had a wonderful personality, she was always smiling, she was always bubbly, you know, she was always a nice person to be around, and, you know, she was the kind of person that I think anyone would want to hang around because she gave off such positive energy, she gave off a positive energy whenever you were around her. Her smile and her voice was just very addicting. How could you not like her? So, I told her that, you know, I told her that I liked her personality. I told her that I hoped that she would find someone who would treat her well, and wished her Godspeed as she would go home, back to her home state of Arizona. And I kind of left it at that. However, there were still times I would think about her, especially when I would play my John Anderson CD, because John Anderson played a song called Seminole Wind, which it's basically about, it features Native Americans. It's about Native Americans in Florida, you know. And I would listen to some other songs that he would sing, and somehow they would all make me think Native Americans. So even now when I listen to the CDs, whenever I would listen to the CD of John Anderson, I would think about Dee. And also because, you know, I would listen to John Anderson's CD. I mean, I only have one CD. I'm sorry. Like I said, sometimes I say things and they come out wrong. So I would drive home from work playing my John Anderson CD, listening to his songs, and this beautiful Native American woman would pop up in my head. So, listening to John Anderson would remind me of this beautiful Native American woman. So, there's more to the story, but I'm going to end it right here. There's going to be a part 3 where I talk a little bit more about this, and thank you for watching. If you have any suggestions for me about my situation, go ahead, leave them in the comment section below. And if you must criticize me, you know, make sure that it's constructive criticism, you know, not destructive criticism. Thank you very much. To be continued.